Welcome back, guys. I'm Dobby.
And I'm Matthew.
And this is Inside the Pylon. So in today's episode, we've talked about in the past couple of weeks, Tom Brady is, in our eyes, undisputably the GOAT. We've talked about positionals as far as who is the best quarterback of all time, can Mahomes chase his legacy. So on today's show, there's not a lot of news in the news cycle. We know this. So we're going to talk today about our positionals. I'm going to go one by one from halfback all the way to special teams and talk about who the hell are our favorite players, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to let you guys know. So we'll get into it, but let's talk about, recap the events of the last week. And, our first topic I wanted to get into 100% for sure. Cam Newton had a heckler last week, and it went viral. There was a kid who, I don't know if it was a training camp or something like that, where, the high school kids are competing and whatnot, getting their names out there for, these schools to see them and whatnot. But Cam Newton was at this event, and I think it was 7-on-7s, actually. They were doing 7-on-7s. And so we came to this event, and there's this just video of this guy talking down on Cam Newton, pretty much bashing him, telling him, oh, you're a free agent, you're not worth your contract.
Told him he's going to be broke.
Yeah, just saying all this ignorant stuff to a guy who is a former MVP player. Like, Cam Newton was at the best at his position, or just in general, the best in the league. He won the most valuable player award. This guy's made millions in his career. He's won a national championship, a Heisman. He has so many accolades and has achieved so much.
He's not done yet.
And he's not even done yet, coming off a bad season, but that's not to neglect anything that Cam Newton has done for his whole career so far. And to me, it's like, this is a reoccurring issue, because I see all the times now, these kids, and this one, I will say, he did issue an apology statement. Who knows how genuine it really was, because it was really a response to the backlash, but he's a young kid and they're impressionable.
Yeah, but, I feel like the apology was kind of just to put it out there so he can still get his offers and everything.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you don't act like that. When you see a great like that, if anything, you ask him for help. You see if you can get anything to learn from him. You don't sit there and badmouth him. For what? Cam didn't do anything wrong to you. You just want to act out in front of all your friends because, today's age thinks it's all cool and everything to be like that. And it's just not. It's disrespectful.
Yeah, and you're talking about people who have achieved, the highest possible level of football.
I bet you those
commendable
kids,
athletes.
Them kids want to be in the NFL, man. That's what I'm saying. Anytime you get an opportunity to learn from a great man, take that up. Ask him questions. Don't be an ass.
And I saw somebody tweet about, it was a NFL player too. It wasn't Cam Newton, but
it was multiple NFL.
Multiple, and what they said was, you're trading, maybe years of, fame in football for 3 days of clout on Twitter. And it's a reoccurring issue. We see it all the time, and it comes into like a respect thing with all this stuff. Like, people aren't giving these NFL players enough respect, because even the worst NFL player could be the best college athlete.
Exactly. You're still at the top of football. When you make it to the NFL, either if you're first string or fourth string, you've still made it to the highest place to play football.
Yeah, and
you're getting paid to play football.
And I think it leans into another topic, which is how social media has affected these high school recruits and stuff like that. There's so much exposure nowadays, and it's a very good thing, because now colleges can see these athletes and help get them offers and stuff like that, and get them that exposure and whatnot. But it's also a detriment, because now you have all these players and kids who are acting out, and it really comes down to the coaches. And I wouldn't put it so much on parenting, but definitely the coaches, making sure your players know how to act and how to be responsible on and off the field.
I agree with the coaches, but I think a lot does have to do with the parenting.
It does play a role.
If he's acting like that out in front of, his friends and everything, he's probably acting the same way at home, Not a lot of kids are different like that. I know me growing up, my parents would have beat me for acting like that out in public,
Yeah, and again, it's that with that social media, that clout kind of, example of, we just need kids to be more focused on football and not so much social media driven.
Exactly.
Again,
let your play talk.
Let your play talk, yeah, but that's just a whole separate discussion for another day. But it was just really sad to see, and I think that we need to give a lot more respect to these pro athletes, man, on every level, any sport.
Especially when he's coming
hard
out there and trying to give back too,
That's all Cam Newton does.
I know, and then
he's
you're
such a great person.
Disrespect that when someone's just trying to give back, and I never understood things.
So getting into our updated, league moves and rumors and so forth, what's happened in kind of the past week, there has been a little bit more on the Watson end of the spectrum. He told straight up to their general manager and the owner, I'm not playing for you guys again. You're going to have to trade me. He reiterated it. He let it be known.
Even went up to the head coach and told the head coach.
Yeah, and I mean, it's weird to me that Houston is still completely unwilling to listen to offers. They said that they were leaving voicemails. Teams were just leaving voicemails at this point, just giving them trade offers at this point. I mean, just odd.
I mean, would you want to get rid of Watson?
No, but I mean, they're backed into a corner. They have nothing to do, but you know what I mean? They're trying to get the upper hand and get leverage, but
you think
it's not working.
Watson would sit the whole year and just refuse to play if it came down to it?
Yeah, no, I think he would. He's 25. He already signed his massive deal. There's nothing to lose for Watson.
I mean, there's a lot. If you're trying to be a great and you want to actually win a Super Bowl, a whole year out is a lot.
But I'm sorry, but he's got to make his case clear.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear.
They've wronged him at this point. You know what I mean?
To a certain extent, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the update on Watson so far.
Yeah.
No actual movement, but he has made it clear he's not playing for them ever again.
And then next we got Wilson, coming out saying that he doesn't want to leave Seattle, doesn't want to be traded, but if he does get traded, he's looking at either the Raiders, the Saints, the Bears, or the Cowboys. And I like some of those fits.
I do, but in the same sense, I don't know how true to core that is. And not to mention, most of those teams, they won't have the opportunity to even move assets for Wilson.
Yeah, they would want a lot. But I would love, personally, to see Wilson in a Bears uniform or a Saints uniform.
No, I don't want to see that. I really don't because, look, the Saints have had such a good run with one of the best quarterbacks for such a long time. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, he would just be elite, though. That's what would keep the Saints.
And don't get me wrong, they'd win a Super Bowl in my eyes. But it's just one of those things, like, I just don't care to see him, the Saints get another Hall of Fame quarterback at this point. I don't want to see.
Bears would be my favorite.
I like to see him with the Raiders. Him and John Gruden really got a nice
good,
connection.
But I don't want to see him twice a year.
Oh yeah, the Chiefs over there, but I don't know. I mean, as far as Wilson goes, I think they get whatever is done.
At the end of the day, I'd rather him stay in Seattle.
I'd rather him just stay in Seattle, play his career out there, and I think he will. Pete Carroll just needs to mend the bridges. It was kind of disrespectful the things that they were doing and so forth, but. Anyways, getting into more league rumors and whatnot. Mike Iupati retired. Congrats to him for a great career. It's very hard to play 10+ years as any offensive lineman in the NFL, but just a great career. Congrats to Mike Iupati on his retirement. Terrence Pot Roast Knighton, if you don't know who that is, D tackle for the Broncos, won a Super Bowl with them. He's now coaching under Matt Rule with the Panthers. Not huge news, but I thought it was a little interesting that he's coming on as a former coach. He was a college coach under Matt Rule when he played in college, but. Just really cool there. And the Dolphins also having mutual interest with Aaron Jones.
How do you feel about that?
I like it from the sense that, he's a great running back. And anytime you can get a proven young player, fantastic idea. But it's what are you going to pay a running back?
Exactly.
The market's always been really low for running backs. They're not a valued position as they should be. But, in the same sense, the league is kind of shying away from that. So it is what it is. But, here's the thing. Reasonably, if they want to pay him like $11 million a year, I might give him that contract. You know what I mean? Because he's proven he's a top guy. Can pass catch out of the backfield and stuff like that. He's a very good running back. But it's when you get to like 13, 14, maybe even 15 mil, I have to pass and just say I'd rather draft a running back in this draft.
Exactly.
There's so many good ones. But again, we'll get more into the draft talk as we get closer. It's still about a month away. Mm-hmm. But other than that, Big Ben's coming back again.
Yeah. I kind of saw that coming. You saw how he was after the game. He sat there, really took that loss in, and he loves football. At the end of the day, I think he's going to give it one more shot and ride out with it.
Yeah, and you know what I mean? Like, me personally, I have my own personal feelings towards Big Ben. I don't like the guy. Some of the past accusations against him and stuff, I don't like him whatsoever. But I can't deny what he's doing on the field at the end of the day. He had a pretty good season last year. If it wasn't for Alex Smith and his fantastic comeback story, he probably would have been comeback player of the year. Yeah. Just an overall great season. So, now let's get into the GOAT debate.
Yeah.
And, oh man, we took a lot of time thinking this out, discussing it, who we thought was the best player at each position, because that's how we're doing it. So when I think of the greatest of all time for as far as position goes, I put everything together, the stats, the legacy, just overall, rings do matter at the end of the day, whether or not they carried or not, it does matter. Records, all that stuff, I took everything into it, how they impacted the league and changed it and so forth.
That's where a lot of mine is how, what did that person do for the league or that position, They might have not had the best stats. All the dudes up there definitely had great stats, but some of them are just a little different in their craft or the certain position they were dealt, so that's where my scenarios go down.
Yeah, I agree. So starting this off, obviously we talked about it earlier in the show. Tom Brady, undisputed. He's the quarterback. So let's go to running backs. And for me, this one, it's very highly disputed, by the way. There's so many good running backs. You got Walter Payton, some people say Jim Brown. I don't like that.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be hard to just say the greatest for most of these positions. There's not too many. I think there's a couple on here that we agreed that is pretty cut. But most of them, there's a good argument made for a lot of players.
I agree, but I feel like even the running back position especially, there's so many names. If you wanted to go with stats, you go with Emmett. But I had to go with the most productive running back of all time. His, overall career, I wouldn't say necessarily was cut short. He just retired a little earlier than he probably could have because his last season, he almost rushed for 1,500. Barry Sanders, 15,000 yards total. He averaged 1,500 a season. He never had a season below 1,100 rushing yards. His touchdowns weren't crazy, but I mean, if you want to talk about the shifty running back, he would fit this league perfectly. Now, just total dynamic running back. And I mean, again, averaged 1,500 yards in 10 seasons. Nobody else was doing that.
No, that's insane, yeah. And my pick was LT. Had to go with LaDainian Tomlinson. I mean, you want to talk about touchdown machine. He's got the single season record for 28 touchdowns in a single year rushing, and then he has 145 on a career. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to score points to win football games, and this is all this man did. Scored points time and time again. He was a reliable running back. He had, close to 14,000 yards for his career and the high 13,000. So, I mean, I'm going LT.
And I mean, I love LT. You know what I mean? Like, if we talk about favorite running backs, he's up there for me. I can't question what Barry Sanders did on the field. You know what I mean? And how he impacted the game, running all over the field. But let's go ahead and get into greatest O-lineman. And this is one where we didn't want to necessarily go through each O-lineman position. So, again, it's very tough to do something like that. And, you got multiple O-linemen who played multiple positions at the same time. But, man, I had to go with the big lifter, Larry Allen, just bullying people for those Cowboys, man. He got him all those rings, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He helped Emmett set the rushing record of all time. I had to go with Larry Allen because that guy is just big hoss.
He's the dude. Joe Thomas.
I like that pick. But
there's a dude that literally, made Pro Bowl every year as a starter.
Yeah.
Didn't miss one Pro Bowl. What an outstanding guy, He was the real backbone for the Browns for the longest, so.
Yeah, but the only problem I have with Joe Thomas is that he played for the Browns. You know what I mean? I mean, you talk about Larry Allen, paved the way for, 3 Super Bowl
but you can't help. I mean, you can't help where you play at the end of the day. I mean, you can maybe ask to be traded or something, but if he was happy, you got to look how he was productive,
I don't think there was anybody as dominant as Larry Allen. And maybe there is. There's a lot of great alignment who we're not even going to list their name, but in my eyes, Larry Allen, you know what I mean? He set world records for lifting and stuff like that. He was just a bully.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go against him, that's for sure.
Here's another highly debated topic. Who's the greatest receiver of all time?
It was really hard for me. I still don't even want to come up with just a single receiver. This is really hard. But when I came down to it, the two I had to go through was either Calvin Johnson or Randy Moss.
No Jerry?
Jerry, it's hard not to say Jerry. I mean, Buddy leads the stats and everything, but when I'm looking at a pure receiver, I just like Randy or Calvin better.
Well, here's what I said. I kind of split Jerry and Randy because if we're talking the greatest receiver of all time, it's, you know what I mean, legacy, everything.
Yeah, it's Jerry.
It's Jerry because nobody, I don't think anybody will even come close to the records he set. It's not even a question. But to me, if I'm going the most, dynamic, the best actual, most talented receiver, it's Randy.
That's where I go with Calvin. I think Calvin was just literally can do it all type of guy. He's so big, he can outrun you, he can outjump you. He's sure-handed, big dude.
The problem with me with Calvin is longevity. It's, you know what I mean? He just didn't go long enough.
And I feel like he would have.
His career was cut short.
I feel like if he wasn't a Lion and was maybe somewhere else,
once again, the worst franchise ever.
Exactly. If he had a better opportunity, you put Randy or Calvin on the Cowboys when Jerry was there, they're putting up numbers just like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
That's why I said opportunity plays a lot of this too. But when I go with GOAT, if I'm gonna have to say statistics and everything, Jerry hands down. But if I'm saying best receiver as just a pure receiver, I'm going Megatron 10 out of 10 times.
That's fair enough. I go with Randy, but tight end, we had a consensus. It's Tony G. I mean, too easy. He leads in every category ever for a tight end.
When you're a really good basketball player too, and then you can just translate those
Antonio
skills
Gates
into
did it too.
that you see why these times they're used to getting them rebounds, they're used to being hit by big guys. What do you know? Throw touchdowns to the tight ends in the end zone. You're used to getting hit by big linebackers, going up and getting the ball. Yeah, Tony Gonzalez
did it best.
Yeah,
that was easy. Corner was another one we had to go back and forth for a little bit, but I don't think you can really come to any other consensus than Primetime. He's not even the best coverage corner. You know what I mean? Man to man, he was really good, but I would probably say Revis, to me, is the best coverage corner, but just all time, it was easy. Primetime.
Yeah, all day.
Just so dynamic, ball hawk. He has everything.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the first guys to start talking that smack and backing it up. I mean, when Dion opened his mouth, he electrified everything. He got the crowd, got the fans into it, and then not only did he talk about it, but he turned around and he backed it up, man. I love seeing the energy he brought, especially being a defender. That just gets the whole defense getting after it. And wow, not to even put against him that he was also a good baseball player too.
Yeah, whatever. Careless about his baseball career, sorry. But anyways, then going over to D end, this one was if we're talking about the most dominant, I think it's a consensus. A lot of people say, Bruce Smith had all-time sack leader with 200, but Reggie White, they talk about him in the breath of maybe the greatest defensive player of all time because he was just that dominant. So I really like Reggie White as far as defensive end goes. He played on two different teams, the Eagles and the Packers, and was the best DN in the league during that time span. So I had to go with Reggie there.
This one was really hard for me too, and when I took a look at it, I want to go Strahan, Michael, just because of what he was doing for the time period. I know.
I'm sorry. There's just no way he gets in the top 5. My eyes.
Not even top 5?
No, you got the guys like Jason Taylor, Reggie White, and then Bruce Smith again. We talked about him, but
Jason Taylor's kind of a hybrid DN, though.
No, but I mean, at the end of the day, he's a DN, brother. He's not like an outside linebacker. I mean, you could put him there, but he was a DN, and he was way better.
Let's just continue on.
Okay, we'll just continue on. D-tackle, he's still in the league.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? But you have to respect the greatness that he's already exuded. Aaron Donald, hands down.
Easy.
He's just a monster. You know what I mean? I don't think we've ever seen anything like him at the D-tackle position. And we've had dominant D-tackles, but
he's not even close to being done either.
He's not. He's still in his he's either 30 or he's right before that. He's not even close to being done. Man. Greatest linebackers. Okay, so we separated this one between outside linebackers and middle. So outside linebackers pertains to even coverage linebackers or pass rushers, but if we're talking strictly outside linebacker, it's Lawrence Taylor.
No brainer.
Highly regarded as the greatest defensive player of all time. It's Lawrence Taylor. That was easy.
Scary. There's not too many men that I would say scary, but both these linebackers that we got selected right here are scary.
Wasn't he the one that snapped Joe Theismann's leg?
I do believe so.
Yeah, no, that guy was
seeing
just
him
a menace.
Coming against you. That'd be a scary sight.
Middle, I love the Hurricanes. Everybody knows this, well documented. But I think regardless, as we're talking just strictly middle inside linebacker, Ray Lewis, baby.
Yeah, like I said, both these dudes are just menaces. He literally brought the Ravens to a championship. I mean, that defense really felt like carried
Ray
them
Lewis,
to their...
big hitter in the middle, big hoss.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm concerned, you know what I mean? He's got everything to back it up. He's got Defensive Player of the Year awards. He's got league leader in tackles. He's got rings. He's got everything you need. Dominant, baby.
Mm-hmm.
And then safety. Now, I know you have a little bit of the debate here. Sorry, I had to go back to the U, Ed Reed.
I really like that Ed Reed pick, but for me, I had to go Polamalu, and that was just because of what he brought to the table. Yeah, Ed Reed brings more turnovers and stuff, but just the crazy plays and when these crazy plays happen. Polamalu would jump over linemen on 3rd and 4th and short, get a sack. He would dive and get one-handed interceptions right before the ball's touching the ground.
I hear you.
Come out here and light people up.
I mean, he was one of the best in the box safeties, but being a safety means, in my eyes, you range all over the field.
Yeah, but we also talked about a free safety and a strong safety, too.
I hear you, but it was hard to differentiate because safeties, for the most part, they play both those positions throughout their career. But you couldn't. I feel like maybe you could have. But Polamalu was not the ball hawk. He was not the coverage safety that Ed Reed was. Ed Reed is the greatest. E.D. Reed, baby. I mean, come on now. 107-yard pick six. 106-yard pick six. You want to talk about dynamic? Polamalu career, 32 picks. Ed Reed, double that, 64.
Okay, but it's not
64.
all about the picks.
If you're playing safety, that goes a lot into it. You're talking about the best playmaker maybe of all time besides Dion. Ed Reed had it all. He was all over the field. Peyton Manning, you talk to Peyton Manning, he probably will say the greatest defensive play he's ever seen in that life is when Ed Reed G.O.A.T him into a pick. He literally said that Ed Reed watched film on Peyton for weeks and waited for that game and waited for that moment, for that exact look, and Ed Reed looked him off. Peyton threw that ball, Ed Reed flew across the field and picked him off. Peyton Manning says that's the greatest defensive play he's ever seen. That's how intelligent Ed Reed was. He beat you with his mind.
You got a very strong case, and I'm not knocking it either. I'm just saying I liked Palomalu because I'm big with the it factor, and he just screamed it factor.
I hear you, and I understand that. But I feel like a lot of his greatness, and again, he's a Hall of Fame player regardless, but it was exuded when we talk about one of the specialists that we're going to get into and what he did. So as far as specialist goes, I think Devin Hester's the guy.
Yeah, you want to talk about the dude that's got the most return touchdowns ever.
He's the best return specialist, just, besides kicker and punter, just specialist in general.
Yeah.
Kicker, I went with Morton Anderson because of the legacy that he left on the league. When he left, he was the all-time leader in points, best kicker in the league. It was undisputed. In my eyes, you know what I mean? I just had to give it to the old man. He played till he was like 45. That was my pick for kicker.
And I got Vinatieri. Clutch, man. He's one of the clutchest kickers I've ever seen.
He is probably the clutchest.
2 Super Bowls. I mean,
yeah.
He played for a long time, too.
Is he still playing? I think he either retired last year or he's still playing.
I think he might have retired.
But regardless, he is now the points leader all time.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? I had to look back on it, too, because I thought Morton still held it, but no, Vinatieri passed him. And then we go to punter, baby. Who else but Pat McAfee, the GOAT. And I mean, yeah, you can say there's other punters that are better, but are you talking about legacy? Big hitter at the punter position? Talk about boomer, all decades team, Pat McAfee.
Yeah, I'm going Pat McAfee.
Oh man, I want Pat McAfee to come and FaceTime me and get on my show. That's what I want from Pat McAfee, bro. I love this guy. If you haven't seen his show, check out the Pat McAfee show. Fantastic show. What a guy he is.
What a career he's had after football too. That's what I really like is just seeing him
off the field.
On,
He's gorgeous.
Yeah.
No, but Pat McAfee. I love Pat McAfee.
Yeah,
he's the best. He's the best.
Guy.
Such a personality. Love that. Well, guys, as far as that's concerned, that's going to end our GOAT debate, and that will wrap up our show. Make sure you guys tune in next week for the next episode as far as that's concerned. Free agency starting soon. Get ready for that. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, tap that bell for notifications so you do know when our next video goes live. Also, we are setting up a donations page. We're not asking for donations, but if you would like to contribute to our show and help us out a little bit, it would be so much appreciated. Link will be in the description as far as that's concerned. I'm Dobby.
And I'm Matthew.
And this has been Inside the Pylon.